What's up, guys? Welcome back to another UFC video. Today we're going to be talking about the fact that Conor McGregor just became a part owner in the BFC, which, if you don't know, is kind of one of the biggest competitors to the UFC. It's the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, and that is basically like that's like MMA, but without, I don't think they really go to the ground too much. I haven't really watched too much of it. I know it's just bare knuckle fighting, so like there's no gloves or anything. It's just straight hands, and they're punching. And man, knuckles really do hurt, like when they hit people in the face. But if you guys didn't know, Conor McGregor actually tried buying like 10% of the UFC a long time ago before it became really big. And the only reason he couldn't do it is because there's a conflict of interest with him being a fighter, and they didn't want him choosing his own fights, which is kind of crazy because he kind of already does that basically. But because, I mean, he'll get called out and whatever. I mean, he's fighting Michael Chandler, but I think he's the reason. I think he more so wanted to fight Michael Chandler than I think. I know Michael Chandler wants to fight him. Michael Chandler doesn't really have much say in, the fighters he gets to fight, because at the end of the day, Michael Chandler's like 7th in the rankings, and he hasn't even fought in a while. So it's kind of like, two retirees in a way, because they're just like inactive fighters. But, Conor McGregor now becoming a part owner, I think he's has quite a bit of equity now in the BFC. They didn't say the exact amount, but I'm assuming it's a decent amount. You do see a lot of these celebrities, from like sports, investing in soccer clubs and stuff. But now you're going to see guys like this, like Conor McGregor, now investing in the BFC, which at the end of the day is a up and coming sport, and it has a lot of equity money in it from other things like Triller, whoever owns Triller, which is it's kind of like TikTok but for fighting, and it's like boxing. It makes no sense what Triller is. It was meant to compete with TikTok. They had an app, and then it never really took off or anything, but they do have a lot of funding and stuff, and they do fund the BFC, which is, growing in popularity. They had a famous TikToker named Bryce Hall. He fought on it, and they had it on Fubo TV, which Fubo TV in its own right is a giant scam. Don't buy it. You may wonder what I'm talking about, but if you've ever tried watching stuff on a shady website, you'll get Fubo TV ads. Fubo TV is basically the Wikipedia of streaming services. So yeah, and the BFC has the same kind of look to it. They have an octagon or whatever. They have a Bucked Up, and a lot of these smaller companies that aren't willing to pay the amount of money that the UFC gets for its ads, on the mats or whatever you want to call it of the octagon. And they're definitely, like I said, up and coming. They've grown a lot of popularity over the last 4 to 5 years. Definitely, I've seen more recognition and a lot more spikes in popularity over the past year and a half, I'd say. And now with Conor McGregor, kind of going in there getting ownership, I don't think Conor McGregor is going to go into anything and not be like, oh, I want to make money, not make any money off it. I definitely think he thinks right now, even if he was hands off, that just based off his name, and everything, and the way it's going, that it would definitely start to gain more popularity, gain more money, gain more value. But it is interesting to see, I don't think Conor McGregor would do a bare knuckle fight. And the only reason I'm saying that is because bare knuckle fights are not nearly as safe for people as MMA is, because you have gloves on. You still get your face cut up, but bare knuckle fights, you can seriously hurt your hand. You can also leave permanent scars, more so than the UFC. If you ever seen it, there's a lot of these. It's straight out and just punching in the face. People start bleeding like crazy, on their hands and in their face, and it's way more dangerous than probably I'd say it's more dangerous than boxing, more dangerous than UFC. It's pretty dangerous compared to the other sports that are combat sports, in America. And I would say that I don't think it will ever grow to the popularity that the UFC has. And I do think UFC will overtake boxing at some point. I really do think that. I think there's too many weight divisions in boxing, too unorganized. There's a lot of big names, but at the end of the day, they don't ever want to fight each other. The only guy in there that will actually fight other big name people right now is Ryan Garcia. and it's only a matter of time, before, he meets someone he can't compete with, or he starts, he'll eventually, fade away. He's still pretty young, but I don't think there's as many like up and coming guys in there that can get the popularity that, Ryan Garcia has. And then when you look at the UFC, like, you have a lot of up and coming guys like Sean O'Malley, Ilya Taporia, who's, arguably like more popular than a guy like Ryan Garcia, and any like Tank Davis. He's more popular than probably both those guys. And Americans don't understand that. A lot of them don't, because he has such a big following in Europe. He has a big following now in America, any Spanish-speaking countries, because he's from Spain. He also has some Russian ties, and yeah, he's pretty popular, well-known. And obviously, you don't know a single person from the BFC. Like, I like, all I know is Bryce Hall, because he's a TikToker. No one knows any fighters from the BFC as of right now. I'd say, like, I don't. You probably don't. You could try to like go look at their roster. You wouldn't even see a single person, And that's nothing against the BFC, because they're still up and coming. But when at the end of the day, you need someone to become a huge star, and that's part of the reason, the UFC gets where it was, because of a guy like Conor McGregor. Obviously, there was people fighting before him, like Jim Miller and other guys. But when you look at it right now, Conor McGregor, he like from like the hundreds to like 280s or whatever for the main UFC events. Like I forget what, like, when Conor McGregor started, but man, that guy dominated. He was so well known, so well liked, has built up such a huge following, not in just, from like Europe, but in America. He's very well loved here, and everyone wants to be him. And that's because, he gets all the endorsement deals and everything. And that's part of the reason I don't think he'll ever fight in the BFC, is when you talk about a guy like Conor McGregor, who definitely does care about his looks and everything, and his face, especially when, he's in movies nowadays like Roadhouse, and he'll probably be in some more in the future. I don't think any movie star wants to have these huge scars on their face unless they're playing villains. But even then, I think this guy doesn't want to have a massive scar on his face at some point, or get cut up really bad, or not be able to fight in the future, because he does get beat. I don't think he'll get beat in the BFC. I don't think they have anyone on his level. But remember, this guy's still coming back from a broken leg, or like a separated whatever, like he snapped his leg in half. And I don't think he'll ever want to fight in the BFC, take a chance of, hurting his face or whatever. I just don't think that will happen. But make sure to let me know what you guys think of this. I'm pretty sure this is a really big move for Conor McGregor. Obviously, this guy has like over $200 million or whatever, and he's going to keep investing in companies. I'm kind of upset. The fact is, I think they should have let him invest into the UFC. Keeping Conor McGregor around for the long haul is much more important than I think UFC fans want to admit. I think, you keep him around, you keep him in the sport, just coming to fights. Like, when's the last time you've seen Conor McGregor sitting ringside at a fight? I don't remember if I have, and it's been a while. If so, I think you want that. I don't think you want him, completely going away. And I think also for other fighters, if this guy's still somewhat, involved in the sport, it helps them out too, because it's going to keep eyes more on the UFC. And at the end of the day, boxing pays way better than the UFC does, and the UFC is still, making that better. But for the most part, they need to work on getting their pay up, so they're not losing, people to boxing and whatnot, and they need to keep stars in the sport. Like Sean O'Malley even came out and said that he paid more in taxes last year than he made in the UFC. Now, obviously, I think this is his first year getting pay-per-view sales on, like, what was it, $2.99, and I don't know how many people bought that, but he definitely would have made good money off that, off of pay-per-view percentages and whatnot. But Sean Strickland's, been open about how bad the pay is. I think Israel Adesanya is about to retire. He's got 3 more fights left, apparently. And then, Nate Diaz doesn't do it anymore. You still have guys like Ilya who are going to do it. Sean O'Malley's going to do it. And, you're going to have Charles Oliveira for only so much longer. Alex Pereira's 38 or whatever. I mean, that guy's only going to be around till maybe like 40-something. I don't really think he'll be in the UFC for a lot longer. You have Tom Aspinall, you have Leon Edwards, who's going to eventually start to fall off. You have a lot of, young guys who are interesting too, like Jack Dilla, Michael Venom Page. But for the most part, I think they need to keep their stars around. And if you can keep Conor McGregor around for as long as you can, do that, because it's very important for the UFC. And yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. Let me know what you think of this. What do you think of Conor McGregor buying into the BFC, who is one of the UFC's biggest competitors, or like up and coming biggest competitors? And yeah, just make sure to like, subscribe, comment, and make sure to tune in for more videos in the future. Peace.